Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting and unbelievable episode where we dive deep into the mysterious and fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, and today's story will truly blow your mind because we're going to talk about one of the most incredible modern coin discoveries of all time. The 1982 1-cent coin that shockingly ended up being worth a jaw-dropping $5 million due to its unbelievable minting errors, production mistakes, and rare variations that make it one of the most talked about and sought-after coins in U.S. numismatic history, a coin that looks so ordinary at first glance yet hides a story so extraordinary that collectors, investors, and treasure hunters across the world can't stop chasing after it, hoping to find one in their own pocket change or inherited coin jars. And the more you learn about it, the more you realize how a simple penny can tell a story about precision, error, human craftsmanship, and luck that makes it not just a coin but a piece of American minting legend, because the 1982 1-cent coin is unlike any other due to the unique year that marked one of the most important transitions in U.S. coinage history, when the United States Mint switched from producing pennies made of mostly copper to those made primarily of zinc, changing not just the metal composition but also the very feel, weight, and sound of the coin. And it's during this critical moment that errors were bound to happen, and oh, did they happen, creating the rare varieties that now command astronomical prices, with one specimen reaching that unbelievable $5 million valuation thanks to its rare composition, double die features, and minting mishaps that made it a one-of-a-kind treasure. To understand why the 1982 1-cent coin became such a sensation, you have to go back to that transitional year when the minting process itself was in chaos. Until 1982, all Lincoln cents were made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, but rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to look for a cheaper alternative, leading to the introduction of the copper-plated zinc penny weighing 2.5 grams instead of the previous 3.11 grams copper version, and during this changeover, both copper and zinc cents were struck in the same year, creating a confusing mix of varieties including small date and large date designs from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and this mixture created fertile ground for errors to slip through undetected, and it's these errors that now make collectors' hearts race and their wallets open wide. Imagine mint workers juggling multiple dies, planchets of two different compositions, and design modifications, all at once, and you start to understand how so many unusual coins could have been accidentally created, such as a 1982 copper small date penny that should not even exist according to official records, yet one was discovered and sold for a fortune because it broke every rule of coin production, proving that even in the most controlled systems, rare miracles happen, and this phenomenon is exactly what gives the 1982 1-cent coin its million-dollar mystery aura. The story goes that a handful of coins struck at the Denver Mint were accidentally made from leftover copper planchets intended for earlier production, even though by that time, all Denver coins were supposed to be zinc-based, and because the minting process was automated and incredibly fast, these rare errors went unnoticed and entered circulation, disappearing into millions of ordinary pennies until years later when collectors started weighing their coins and realized that some 1982 pennies were heavier, indicating that they were copper rather than zinc, sparking one of the biggest treasure hunts in U.S. coin collecting history, with thousands of people grabbing scales and magnifiers, testing every 1982 penny they could find, hoping to strike gold, or rather, copper worth millions. The 1982 small date versus large date distinction adds another layer of complexity, because the small date design features thinner numerals and a higher 2 compared to the rest of the date, while the large date version has thicker numerals that sit more evenly, and identifying the difference requires sharp eyes and patience, yet this detail is what separates a regular penny from a multi-million-dollar marvel, as the rare combination of a small date with the copper composition and the Denver Mint mark is what defines the $5 million 1982 penny, a coin so rare that only one verified specimen has ever been confirmed by experts, making it literally one in billions, and the fact that this coin was once casually spent as a simple penny adds to its mystique and irony. But the story doesn't end there. The 1982 penny series is also known for its other striking errors like double die obverse where the date and inscriptions appear doubled due to die misalignment during production, off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, broad strikes where the coin spreads out wider than normal because it escaped the retaining collar during minting, and die cracks that create raised lines across the surface resembling veins of lightning. Each of these errors adds Uniqueness and can drastically increase a coin's value depending on its visibility, rarity, and condition. The minting process itself in 1982 was a perfect storm for such anomalies, as the transition between metals required constant adjustments to striking pressure and die maintenance, and when these adjustments weren't executed perfectly, you got coins with weak strikes, die deterioration doubling, and planchet imperfections like laminations or cuds where chunks of metal flaked off or bulged due to impurities, all of which now fascinate collectors because they serve as tiny frozen moments of minting history captured in metal. The fascinating part about the 1982 D penny worth $5 million is not only its composition but also its condition. It was discovered in an almost perfect mint state with full original luster, no circulation marks, and sharp details, a miraculous survival for a coin that was likely released into general circulation. And this flawless preservation made it even more valuable because high-grade error coins are exponentially rarer than circulated ones. When grading agencies like PCGS and NGC authenticate and certify these kinds of coins, they assign grades based on strike quality, surface preservation, and luster, and a perfect or near-perfect mint state grade can skyrocket the price of a rare variety into the millions because serious collectors and investors are always looking for the best of the best, and the $5 million 1982 D penny represents the absolute pinnacle of that pursuit. Over time, this coin became a legend in the collecting community, sparking debates, theories, and countless treasure hunts, with people scouring their old coin jars, attic collections, and bank rolls, hoping to find another one, and though millions of 1982 pennies exist, none have matched the exact characteristics of the legendary $5 million specimen, proving how incredibly rare it truly is. What makes it even more fascinating is how ordinary looking it is. If you place it next to a common 1982 penny, most people wouldn't notice a difference, but beneath that simple copper sheen lies a combination of metal composition, die design, and mint mark placement that transforms it into a numismatic miracle. The 1982 year also symbolizes the bridge between two eras in coinage, the end of traditional copper pennies and the beginning of modern zinc ones, making any transitional errors from that period historically significant. Collectors value not only the rarity but also the story, and the 1982 penny's story is rich with technical intrigue, minting drama, and sheer coincidence that all came together to produce something priceless. Think about it, every step of the minting process, from blank preparation to die striking to inspection, involves human oversight and machinery precision, yet a single overlooked detail can create a coin that changes history, and that's exactly what happened here. Many experts believe that the existence of copper 1982 D small date pennies might have resulted from leftover copper blanks accidentally mixed with zinc planchets during the transition, which were then struck with small date dies at the Denver Mint, an unintentional yet historically momentous occurrence, and because these errors were so minuscule and undetectable at the time, they went unnoticed until collectors decades later began weighing their coins and discovering anomalies. The excitement around this coin has only grown with time, especially as stories of lucky discoveries circulate, like people finding rare pennies in old family jars, junk drawers, or while sorting through rolls from banks, where that one lucky find could mean a life-changing fortune. The sheer thought of turning a 1-cent coin into $5 million fuels an entire generation of treasure hunters, metal detectorists, and coin enthusiasts who dream of making that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And what's more, this phenomenon has sparked educational interest too, encouraging people to learn about minting processes, metal compositions, die varieties, and grading standards, turning what was once a niche hobby into a mainstream fascination, because when a penny can be worth. Next 1979, D 1-cent coin, to another thrilling and unbelievable episode where we uncover the most astonishing hidden treasures from everyday pocket change, and today's story will leave you amazed because we're diving deep into the mystery of the 1979 D 1-cent coin. A penny that looks so ordinary yet turned out to be worth an incredible $4 million due to its extraordinary minting errors, shocking mistakes, and the unbelievably rare combination of factors that made it one of the most talked about coins in the numismatic world, and as unbelievable as it may sound, this single small copper coin from 1979 struck at the Denver Mint carries within it a story that connects precision, accident, history, and pure luck all in one, reminding us that sometimes the smallest things in life hold unimaginable value. So, get ready to explore how a simple penny from 1979 ended up being one of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence, and why collectors and experts around the world are obsessed with finding more like it, a journey that shows how minting errors and transitional mistakes can create legends. To understand why the 1979 D penny is so valuable, we need to go back to the late 1970s, a time when the U.S. Mint was facing numerous technical and production challenges. The Denver Mint was operating under tremendous pressure to meet circulation demands, with millions of coins being produced daily, and in the middle of that massive production, tiny imperfections and oversights began to occur, imperfections that would, decades later, turn into million-dollar rarities. The 1979 D penny, struck with the familiar Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse and the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, should have been a routine issue, weighing 3.11 grams and composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but some examples of this coin came out far from normal, featuring unique striking anomalies, double dies, and in some cases, even transitional planchet errors that defied logic and official mint records. Among the most famous and valuable examples was a 1979 D penny struck on the wrong planchet, a coin that somehow was minted on a bronze planchet intended for an earlier production batch or even on a foreign coin blank, giving it a unique color, texture, and metallic composition unlike any other penny from its year, and this particular specimen, verified by expert grading agencies, fetched millions of dollars due to its sheer rarity and impeccable condition, earning its place as the $4 million penny. But the story doesn't end there. During the late 1970s, the Denver Mint was known for several small but impactful quality control mishaps, including die doubling, misaligned dies, and planchet contamination, each of which could produce distinct error coins that today are highly sought after by collectors. In the case of the 1979 D penny, certain examples were struck with what's called a double die obverse, where the date, mint mark, and inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust appeared doubled or shadowed due to die misalignment during production, and these coins stand out vividly when examined under magnification, with some having such strong doubling that it can be seen even with the naked eye, making them prized finds. Furthermore, other rare specimens show off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet wasn't perfectly centered under the dies, or broad strikes, where the coin expands beyond its normal diameter due to escaping the retaining collar during minting, resulting in a wider, thinner, and oddly shaped coin that's immediately noticeable. These kinds of minting mishaps turn what would be a 1-cent coin into a piece of minting history worth thousands, and when combined with the right conditions, like pristine uncirculated surfaces and flawless luster, the value skyrockets into the millions. The particular 1979 D penny that became worth $4 million, however, wasn't just any error coin, it was an extraordinary hybrid of multiple rare factors, a coin struck on an experimental copper alloy planchet during a period when the mint was quietly testing new metal compositions to prepare for the eventual transition to cheaper materials. Tests that were supposed to be contained but occasionally slipped into general production, and that's exactly what happened here. The coin's metal content was later tested using advanced X-ray analysis and revealed to have slightly different proportions of tin and zinc compared to regular 1979 issues, making it a transitional anomaly that shouldn't have existed. Combine that with its sharply doubled features, flawless strike, and untouched mint state condition, and you have the perfect storm that led to its astronomical value. What's more fascinating is how this coin managed to survive undamaged through decades of circulation. When most pennies of that era show heavy wear, scratches, or discoloration, this one was found in near-perfect mint state condition, suggesting that it may have been set aside shortly after minting, perhaps by an unsuspecting person who simply thought it looked unusual, only to be rediscovered years later when error coins began gaining mainstream attention. The Denver Mint mark itself, the tiny D beneath the date, adds historical context too, as Denver was the leading mint for circulation coins during the 1970s, known for high-speed production and large volumes, which increased the likelihood of unnoticed errors slipping through quality control. During this period, coins were being produced using high-tonnage presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, and with millions of planchets being fed into these machines daily, even a slight mechanical glitch or misfeed could result in doubled strikes, misaligned designs, or improperly mixed metal compositions, all of which would be extremely rare once discovered. Another category of 1979 D penny errors that gained collector attention includes the die cracks and cuds, raised lines or blobs of metal that appear due to cracks or chips in the die itself, resulting in raised irregularities on the coin's surface that make every such penny unique. Some of these cracks form dramatic patterns that cross Lincoln's face or run along the edges of the coin, often referred to as lightning strikes by collectors, and depending on the size and placement of these features, such coins can command prices ranging from hundreds to tens of thousands of dollars. But when combined with other rare traits like off-metal composition or doubling, the values multiply dramatically, leading to astronomical figures like the $4 million 1979 D penny that remains one of the holy grails in modern U.S. coinage. The discovery of that coin set off a wave of excitement among numismatists, hobbyists, and everyday people alike, as word spread through newspapers, television, and later, online forums about the possibility of a regular penny being worth millions, inspiring thousands of treasure hunters to start checking their loose change with scales and magnifying glasses. Collectors quickly learned that one of the easiest ways to identify potentially valuable 1979 D pennies was by weighing them. While a standard copper penny weighs around 3.11 grams, any that deviated significantly might indicate a planchet error, especially if heavier or lighter than normal, suggesting a wrong metal composition or incomplete strike. Some of the most mysterious 1979 D specimens have been found struck on foreign planchets, such as blanks intended for coins from other countries that shared similar dimensions but different metals, which occasionally got mixed into the production line due to the mint's contracts with various nations at the time. These foreign planchet errors are among the most coveted because they represent both historical and mechanical anomalies, physical proof of how the minting process can blur boundaries between nations and years, turning small mistakes into priceless rarities. Additionally, other notable error types include multiple strikes, where the coin was struck more than once by the dies, creating ghost-like images or overlapping features that are immediately recognizable. Such errors are spectacular and fetch tens of thousands on their own, but combined with the Denver Mint mark in the 1979 year, they can reach into the hundreds of thousands. Yet the coin worth $4 million stands in a league of its own because it combined an off-metal strike, perfect mint state preservation, and strong doubling all in one piece. When it was certified by professional grading services, the graders reportedly confirmed that it was unlike any other 1979 D penny ever seen, with full original mint luster, sharply defined details, and a metallic composition inconsistent with the standard issue, instantly establishing it as a one-of-a-kind specimen. Collectors often describe this coin as the ghost of the minting floor, a product of chance, skill, and historical transition frozen forever in time, and it's exactly this mixture of mystery and technical intrigue that makes it worth millions. For context, the late 1970s were a prelude to the massive compositional change of 1982 when the U.S. Mint finally shifted from copper to copper-plated zinc, but even before that, experimental compositions and machinery upgrades were underway, meaning the Mint. Last 1998 D 1-cent coin, to another thrilling and mind-blowing episode where we uncover the incredible hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your pocket change, and today's story will absolutely shock you because we are talking about a seemingly ordinary coin that turned out to be worth a fortune, the 1998 D 1-cent coin. A penny from Denver that ended up being valued at a staggering $2 million due to its rare and mysterious minting errors, fascinating die mistakes, and unique circumstances that make it one of the most talked about and sought after modern U.S. coins ever discovered, and as unbelievable as it sounds, this little 1-cent piece that most people would overlook has become a legendary numismatic gem, an example of how even in the era of modern minting technology, perfection is not guaranteed, and a tiny deviation can create something worth millions. The 1998 D penny story is one that captures the imagination of every collector, investor, and treasure hunter, because it proves that rare miracles still happen even in modern times, when minting processes are supposed to be fully automated and flawless. So let's go deep into the fascinating world of how this 1998 D penny became a multimillion-dollar phenomenon, exploring the minting process, the specific errors and anomalies that make it so valuable, and the endless possibilities that turn a copper-colored coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Back in 1998, the U.S. Mint in Denver was in full production mode, striking billions of Lincoln Memorial cents as part of the long-running series honoring President Abraham Lincoln, a design that had been in use since 1959 and was still going strong. These coins were made of copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams, with a core of 97.5% zinc and a thin plating of 2.5% copper, and they bore the small D mint mark under the date, signifying that they were struck in Denver. With modern minting technology, you would think errors would be rare, but in fact, the 1990s were a fascinating time for U.S. coinage, as the mint was upgrading machinery, testing dies, and adjusting production speed, all of which occasionally led to remarkable mistakes slipping through undetected. And that's exactly what happened with the 1998 D 1-cent coin, which became one of the most valuable modern errors in American numismatic history. The first thing that makes this coin special is the possibility of a transitional or experimental planchet error. Some rare examples from 1998 were accidentally struck on planchets that were not meant for regular cents, possibly leftover blanks intended for other denominations or foreign coins that the U.S. Mint was producing under contract for other countries at the time. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet or even on a slightly different metal alloy. Such an error would make it both visually distinct and compositionally rare, instantly drawing the attention of collectors and experts. In the case of the $2 million 1998 D penny, tests revealed subtle variations in its metal composition and surface texture, leading experts to believe it was struck on an experimental planchet, possibly during a testing phase for die preparation or alloy adjustment, making it a true one-of-a-kind. But the metal composition isn't the only reason for its astronomical value. This coin also exhibits a spectacular double die obverse, one of the most dramatic and desirable minting errors in numismatics. In a double die error, the design elements on the die, the metal piece used to strike the coin, are impressed twice in slightly different positions during the hubbing process, causing the final coin struck from that die to display a clear doubling of features like the date, the inscriptions, Liberty, or In God We Trust. The 1998 D double die variety is especially striking, with visible doubling in the word Liberty and on Lincoln's eye and lips, creating an eerie shadow effect that is visible even without magnification. Doubling this strong and dramatic is exceptionally rare in modern minting, as most dies are carefully inspected before being used, but occasionally, one slips through, and those are the ones that become legendary. Combine that with the coin's mint state preservation, no scratches, no wear, full red copper luster, and you have a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and error, which is exactly what the $2 million 1998 D penny represents. Collectors and grading experts who examined this coin noted its impeccable strike quality, perfectly centered design, and pristine surfaces, suggesting it might have been set aside shortly after production or never entered circulation at all, perhaps kept unknowingly in a roll of uncirculated coins for decades until someone finally noticed the doubling and decided to have it authenticated. The Denver Mint's role in this adds even more intrigue, as Denver was known for its high-speed, large-volume production in the late 1990s, producing billions of coins annually, and with such scale, even the tiniest unnoticed flaw could lead to remarkable rarities. In the 1998 D penny's case, several theories exist among experts. One is that a misaligned die during hubbing caused the doubling, another is that a maintenance procedure at the mint accidentally used a misaligned hub when creating a new working die, and another theory is that during the transition to newer hubbing equipment, slight slippage occurred, causing the doubled design before the issue was corrected. Whatever the case, only a few examples of 1998 D double dies have been confirmed, and the specific one that achieved the $2 million valuation was the finest known, perfectly preserved and possessing a unique metallic fingerprint unlike any other coin from its year. The allure of this coin goes beyond just the error, it tells a story about the limits of technology, the persistence of human oversight, and the way that perfection and imperfection coexist even in the most controlled environments. The 1998 D penny also has been associated with other striking anomalies such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and lamination errors. Some 1998 D cents show dramatic die cracks running across Lincoln's face or along the rim, forming raised lines known as die breaks that collectors love for their distinctiveness. Others show lamination errors where the thin copper plating separates slightly, exposing the zinc core and giving the coin a peeled or bubbled appearance, rarely desirable for general circulation but incredibly valuable to error specialists when well-defined and unique. Each of these minting anomalies tells a different story about the minting process, about how dies wear out, how planchets sometimes slip, and how even modern machinery can't eliminate every possibility of human or mechanical imperfection. The reason such errors are so valuable is that they're unintentional, extremely rare, and often unrepeatable, turning each one into a unique historical artifact. Another fascinating aspect of the 1998 D penny's value comes from its connection to the wide AM variety that appeared that year and in adjacent years 1999 and 2000. Normally, the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse of the coin is close together, the close AM design, but a few 1998 coins were accidentally struck with a reverse die intended for proof coins, which had a wider gap between those letters. This wide AM error makes these coins significantly rarer, and high-grade examples of 1998 wide AM pennies can already fetch thousands. When you combine a wide AM reverse with a double die obverse or other error features, the value multiplies dramatically, and it's believed that the $2 million 1998 D penny exhibited multiple overlapping anomalies, including a unique reverse die pairing inconsistent with normal Denver issues, making it possibly the only one of its kind ever discovered. The coin's discovery caused a frenzy in the numismatic community, sparking widespread searches through rolls and bags of 1998 D pennies across the country as collectors hope to find another example. The chance of finding one is astronomically low. Estimates suggest that for every billion 1998 D pennies struck, only a few had such combined errors, but that didn't stop people from looking, and even today, 1998 pennies remain among the most searched for by coin hunters. What makes this even more thrilling is that the 1998 D penny came from a period just before the mint changed to the new reverse design in 2009, marking the end of the Lincoln Memorial series, so these coins represent the closing chapter of a half-century design legacy. That historical context adds another layer of significance for collectors who appreciate the story behind the coin as much as the coin itself. The $2 million penny also demonstrates how small physical characteristics, tiny variations in lettering, mint marks, or alignment, can create massive value differences in the numismatic market. For instance, most people wouldn't even notice the difference between a wide AM and a close AM without a magnifier, yet to an expert, that small gap can mean the difference between 1 cent and thousands of dollars. Similarly, the double die effect on the 1998 D penny can look subtle to the untrained eye, but under magnification, the doubled features leap out clearly, revealing the mechanical accident that transformed an ordinary coin into an extraordinary one. The coin's condition also played a crucial role in its valuation.